Because people tell me, Jim, you need to write a book. I said, I wouldn't know how to start. So I said, I'm going to just keep it to myself. But not now. What you're comfortable doing, put yourself forward. Step out there and do what you know you can do. If you can feel that you can do better than the next guy, that's the thinking that you need when you're out there working, looking for a job. Be the best that you can be. I had a lot of people that came to my door to ask me if I would sit down with them and discuss a situation or a problem that they were going through. And I always took the time to do that. And such as this young lad took his own life. And when I went to the family to make funeral arrangements for him, there was one brother of his that just tore me up one side and down the other. And the family were apologizing for him. And I said, listen, he is hurting. And I said, I'm sorry, I tell this and it always affects me. Still does. He needs help. And I said, I will turn myself to him to help him get through this. Most of my time was spent with this other young lad, the brother. And at the cemetery, this young lad that I had been helping came up to me and put his arms around me and thanked me profusely and said I would never have made it if it wasn't for you taking care of me. And, something like that can grab you really hard. If I can't cry with a family, I'm no good. It's something that you have to have feeling for those that you're serving or that I'm serving. People are okay. Trust your feelings.
I will always be an only child. Even when I have 6 children, and I will always be an only child. One thing I am pleased about that my parents, because I'm so old and my parents grew up during the Depression, when I look back on my life, I am so grateful that I never heard any homophobic comments, about gays or lesbians. Never did in my home. Never heard racial comments. Never had to grow up with that kind of baloney. A lot of what we do in life is fear-based. We're afraid of other people. Old people are afraid of young people. A lot of that's where that stuff comes from. They don't know you and they're afraid of you because you look different. And so that's another thing to think about, is that they're not mean necessarily, but they don't know you and they're afraid and they don't understand. It's difficult. It's just really difficult. I have to really step back all the time and get up and, in my head, talk to myself and say, hey, watch out, this is where you're coming from. I do. I have to self-correct. Yeah. Because I've done those things too, judged people by the way they look. Anyway, life's an adventure, and I think we should all enjoy it and pick our own path. And you're never too old. to do what you want to do. And to have a new career or a new direction in life. Yeah, life's pretty exciting. So I think, struggles make you pick what you do with them. They either defeat you or you defeat them. And you learn from those things, yeah. Opportunities will present themselves, and then you got to jump on them, and try them. I mean, when I applied for student loan to go to seminary, I was 70 years old, and I'm thinking, the government's not going to loan me any money. They're going to say, what the heck, she's going to be dead and she'll never pay us back. But I did it anyway. And then I thought, well, maybe the seminary will turn me down. Why should we spend time with her sitting in class? But who's going to hire her? But they have hired me. See, that's pretty amazing. At the church I am now, I think I'm the first woman pastor. My comment was, why do I think so little of myself that I'm willing to live this way? And that was the beginning of my getting control of my life again. So, and that's a good thing for us all to think about. I'm a realist. I try to be realistic about my life and who I am and the things I've said to other people, the things I've done, and to recognize that, but to not let it define. I'm not going to live a life of regrets for all the dumb things I did, because we all do that. I mean, we all do dumb things, but to learn from them and move on.
I don't care. But I'm just recalling.
I'm 80. I have no secrets.
Okay, I'm just recalling.
I love to work. Workaholic is different. Loving to work means you get pleasure out of working. There's not much difference in pleasurable work and pleasurable play. I mean, they merge. They're almost interchangeable. And science has to do with a lot of wonderful things. Science is, I am in love with science, okay? It provides mechanism, it provides diagnosis, it provides treatment, it provides the basic skeleton of medical practice, the application of science to human suffering, but healing is different. Healing, we talked about this a bit, I think, before. Healing is making whole. Trying to make whole, making less broken. How did patients teach that? For healing to be permitted, there has to be presence of two people together, the patient and the physician in this world, in my world that I'm talking about. There are many other contexts, teachers and students, parents and children, similar talk, quite similar, almost identical talk. Patients look you in the face. They look you in the eye. They talk to you. They cry in front of you. They want to know what's wrong. They want you to examine their body and scan them and blood test them and do whatever you want to do. You are in their hands. They are so present with you and your healthcare team that they are almost within you. They're teaching what healing is. So you do it back to them. Yes, you look them in the eye. You watch them. You listen to them. Everybody needs undivided attention and validation. Well, you can extrapolate that. And that's what each of you guys here ought to do in the rest of your lives, is to extrapolate that there are no ordinary people. There are no ordinary students. There are no ordinary children, parents, human beings. Everybody has self-worth. The freewheeling Bob Dylan in the mid-'60s. Unbelievable. I would put it on. My mom would be upstairs. I'd be home, done studying or something for the night, or not on call or whatever he did in medical school. And Bob Dylan would, that album would be there that I had bought. I'd put it on. It was it was soothing, but it wasn't soothing enough in my lovesick despondency, I guess you would say. I mean, those are tough times. So I said, I wonder if I could play along with that with the fiddle. I need to have that music here, not just in my ear from the phonograph. So I got my fiddle out and I started to play along with him, and it was kind of rough at first because I didn't know how to play by ear at all, but I learned. And then I felt so deeply much better, so much better deeply.
See, the first stepfather was in 1950, and he only lived about 4 years right in there. Yes, that was hard. And it was, and so how I got through it, I don't know. Probably my grandmother was there to support me in different ways. And my real biological father had come back into town and seemed to be around. So those two things supported me, as my mother was not handling it. Because that was her second marriage, and then she married another guy for a year. And then the best thing, actually, she married another man, and she was married to him for 30 years. Didn't stop her alcoholism, but it was time to grow up. We want to be adults when we're quite young, and we think we're doing it different. I made changes until about the 80s, let's see, late 70s. Take a few old class reunions and a few little drink of this and a little drink of that. I became an alcoholic by in the 80s. I'm working out like my mom did as a waitress, and it was a small place where let's have a drink afterwards kind of thing. So it's not like, oh, one day I think I'm going to be, because it was evolves around of the time in your life, pardon me, when you reach the second phase or the third phase, in the regular around the 40s, going on 50 or 50, you think you're going to recreate. You really can't relive what you were when you were 18, but you almost like you're a teenager again. And in 1989, then the son assisted me by talking to my hairdresser how to get some help. Because he'd seen his grandmother not be a happy woman. And so he didn't want his mother to follow those paths. Yeah, that's a good point. True. I had come to that. I was coming to that point of, this ain't fun anymore. In a way, or this is not, it's sickening. I'm going to lose more than I'm have in so many ways. Yes. I didn't want to be like my mother, and here I am. The discipline we think as an adult to our children, and as we get old, our children are gone. I mean, and then we have to be responsible to ourselves. That's right. Uh-huh. Good point. Another one of the learning things in life. And we all are by what we've learned as we go along.